Warning, this video will contain spoilers for Endgame. Oh, and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so viewer discretion is advised. Now, it was just such an amazing experience. It came out almost a month ago, and I'm still reeling from it. It was a film that was able to tie together the elements of 21 preceding movies to tell the story of the Stark family. Yeah, I'm saying that the Infinity Saga really has been the story of the Stark family, specifically Howard, Tony, and Morgan Stark. So let's dive right in. To support my claim, I'm about to demonstrate how between Howard and Tony Stark, almost all of the heroes in the MCU tie back to the Stark family. To begin with, there's Captain America. Howard Stark worked directly with Dr. Abraham Erskine-Vito, or however you pronounce his last name, to help make the super soldier serum. But even more than that, Howard was who really encouraged Steve to become Captain America. Howard got him to begin raising money for the war effort in his costume, and then flew the plane that Cap jumped out of for his first real mission. Howard's interactions with Peggy also made Steve realize how he felt for her, which would become a major part of his character. And then Howard is able to get the Tesseract from the ocean while he's looking for Steve, after Steve is able to secure it from Hydra.
Take us to the next grid point.
But there's no trace of wreckage. And the energy signature stops here.
Just keep looking.
Then we have the Winter Soldier program, which was pretty much the only successful recreation of the US Army's super soldier serum, so that ties Howard to Bucky Barnes. Then with the Tesseract held by the US Army, 25 years after World War II, Dr. Hank Pym is working at the same base as Howard Stark. I don't think that's really a coincidence. Howard Stark may have seen the potential that Pym technology had and encouraged the Army to bring him on and support his research, which would mean that he's also somewhat tied to Ant-Man. It's speculative, but it makes a lot of sense. Bruce Banner was trying to recreate the Captain America serum when he became the Hulk, and then we have Tony himself, who of course made the Iron Man suit. After that, in Iron Man 2, one of his suits is taken by the US military and augmented to make the War Machine / the Iron Patriot, which, can we just say, Iron Patriot sounds like the name that you would give to someone that you are trying to have be like a mechanically powered Captain America. Also in Iron Man 2, Tony becomes friends with Natasha Romanoff and helps her to go from assassin to hero. Although it was never explicitly said, it would make a lot of sense if Falcon's wingsuit was based off the schematics that the US military got from the Iron Man suit that they took. Tony tampering with the Mind Stone is what made Ultron and then later Vision. The Spider-Man suit in the MCU is Stark technology, and it's worth mentioning that in the comics, Norman Osborn was also trying to recreate the super soldier serum when he made the Oz that turned him into the Green Goblin and Peter Parker into Spider-Man. It's also been confirmed that the kid that Tony has a moment with in Iron Man 2 was indeed Peter. So I guess this shows that Tony was closer to Peter than he ever realized.
Nice work, kid.
Now, Black Panther had been defending Wakanda for generations before Tony Stark came on the scene, but the technological armor suit that he wears definitely seems to be at least somewhat inspired by the Iron Man suit. And as another aside, he's basically a cross between Captain America and Iron Man, which is interesting because he was introduced in Captain America Civil War. So from the main cast, that just leaves out Thor, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, the Maximoff twins, Captain Marvel, and Clint Barton. And what's significant about these 6 people / groups is that they are each significantly associated with at least one of the Infinity Stones. Thor had to fight the Dark Elves to prevent them from using the Reality Stone to end the universe as we know it. The Guardians had a dance-off to get the Power Stone from Ronan the Accuser. Doctor Strange was the keeper of the Time Stone. The Maximoff twins were powered by the Mind Stone. Captain Marvel gets a lot of her powers from the Space Stone, and Clint Barton had to go to Vormir and lose his best friend to get the Soul Stone. Now, while Tony may not have been tied to them the way he is with the other heroes, he's tied to them in the aspect that he represents all 6 Infinity Stones at once. For the Reality Stone, he has command over his machinery so that he can break it down and form it back together in countless ways, especially with the nanobots that he shows off in Infinity War. For the Power Stone, his suits are able to wield enough firepower to go toe-to-toe with Thanos and giant armies of Shatari warriors and Ultron robots. For the Time Stone, well, he was literally able to design a functioning time machine in an afternoon after the concept was presented to him as being theoretically possible. For the Mind Stone, he's basically the smartest guy on the entire planet. As I mentioned before, he was able to tap into the Mind Stone to make Ultron and then Vision. And he was also the only person able to resist Loki's mind control in the first Avengers movie.
How will your friends have time for me when they're so busy fighting you?
For the Space Stone, his arc reactor is a comparable source of power to the Tesseract. He built suits that let him fly across the entire world, and he was able to get Thanos' ship up and running. For the Soul Stone, I'll just refer to what I've been going over for this entire presentation so far. He's connected to basically everyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's those connections that truly drive him. In Iron Man 1, he was exposed to how bad it was when he was only looking out for himself, so he dedicated himself to looking out for humanity. All of his major decisions were based around at least the intention of helping other people, even at great cost to himself. So, I'm going to say that all of this is what allowed him to use the Infinity Gauntlet at the end of Endgame. If a normal person had so much as tried to put it on, it probably would have killed them. Yes, using it does kill him, but he was still able to put it on and make it work. So this makes me wonder then, what exactly did he wish for when he had all 6 stones in his hand like that? Personally, I think it was something along the lines of, get rid of Thanos' army so that my friends and family can be safe. He knew how dangerous this act was. He was the one that told Thor, of all people, that he shouldn't use it earlier in the movie for fear that it would be too much for him. And yet he did it anyway for the people he loved. Now, this all brings us back to his daughter, Morgan Stark. It was her sneaking downstairs after he had finished the design for the time machine that made him realize that he had to go through with this time heist, no matter how crazy it may have seemed. He realized that he had brought her into a broken world, but that he had the chance to fix it for her. He believed in that moment that they had a lot to gain, but he was still only willing to let them lose one thing to get it back, and that thing was himself. In the end, Tony was finally able to find the balance between being a great father and being a great superhero. He was able to defeat Thanos while at the same time giving his daughter a better place to grow up in. Howard Stark began the MCU, Tony Stark truly made the MCU, and Morgan Stark is the future of the MCU. Also, before we go, I just want to say that I think maybe part of what killed Tony in the end goes back to Iron Man 2, when his arc reactor was slowly killing him. Gamma radiation is extremely poisonous to humans, and as Bruce Banner notes in Endgame, the radiation from the Infinity Stones is mostly gamma. the radiation from the stones may have broken down the element that Tony synthesized to put in the new arc reactor. Now, yes, I know that after Iron Man 3, he didn't need to live anymore, but it's still in his chest, so if it was able to poison him before, I think that under these circumstances, it could still poison him now. If it seems far-fetched that they would reach all the way back to Iron Man 2 for something like this, just think about how many other moments Endgame paid off from other MCU films. Just to run through all of them would probably be an entire video, but to just give some of my favorites, there was Spider-Man, instant kill. Steve giving Tony the Captain America shield at the end of Civil War. Steve moving Mjolnir in Age of Ultron. Steve saying to Peggy that he owes her a dance at the end of the first Avenger. Yeah, a lot of my favorite moments from the movie were from Captain America, but still, probably my favorite has to be...
I am Iron Man.
And if all that doesn't convince you, go rewatch the scene from Iron Man 2 where Tony makes the element, then watch the scene in Infinity War where Thor holds open the Stargate to make Stormbreaker. So anyway, I'm really curious to know what you guys think. Do you believe that the MCU has primarily been the story of the Stark family, at least so far? Let me know what your favorite moments from Endgame were down in the comments. I mainly talk about Dungeons and Dragons on this channel, but I do occasionally talk about fan theories if I believe that I've made a good one. I have another MCU film that was kind of a prediction video for Endgame. I got some stuff right, but not much. We'll be returning to some of the concepts I talked about in there for another Marvel video soon. Well, anyway, I think I've been rambling long enough for this outro. I hope you all enjoy this video. Have a great day, and God bless.